You are listening to the Academic Wellbeing series, brought to you by Academdum. This series is designed to help you understand how to apply your faith to your academics. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, disconnected, or simply in need of direction, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
People that see the building, see the house, see the constructions, the bricklayers, the foundation being laid and all that stuff, they would think and assume that, they started building. They are correct, in a sense. But the actual building started from the time when the bachelor, conceived that idea. So when people are seeing the physical, what they are seeing as the physical building is more or less like your words. Your words. Alright? This is exactly synonymous to precepts. The original idea, the conceived, completed idea, and then the idea exposed through words. Now we're talking about understanding, we're talking about precepts. Alright? So what exactly is this? How exactly is all this coming together to help us understand? Words are vehicles of transport for ideas. Words are vehicles of transport for ideas. Precepts, concepts, ideas, whatever. Words are vehicles of transport. So words are like containers. Yeah. Words are containers and the content are ideas. So when you hear someone talking, when you hear people speaking, those things they're saying are containers of ideas, of concepts, of things conceived and already put together in their minds, in their hearts. Right? So, meaning that words, you don't just talk. Yeah. Actually, you don't just talk because it's expected that your words should express what you've already conceived inside. So there are times when you say some things that you did not think through. You now feel like, you should have not said this. You should have taken time to think it through before actually saying it. So that's why even the scripture says what? Quick to hear, slow to speak. Why? So you can construct. Because words that you speak convey your concepts, the ideas in your heart. So if you just speak just any other words without even thinking it or conceiving it, it is assumed that that is the content of your heart, because words are basically what? Containers. If you want to understand anything, to understand any piece of information, to understand knowledge, to understand any form of knowledge you engage, you don't start from the words, because that is not the source. You need to start from the precept. The precept is the original idea that was now formed into a concept and was communicated using words. It is those words that you are either reading or hearing or listening to. That's what you're engaging, but that's not the source. So for you to understand, you need to go down to the source, which is what? The precept. Like I said, everything is first an idea. Everything starts from an idea. Every word is a part. It is a container for an idea or a container for parts of an idea. So all my speaking so far in this teaching, in this session, I've been using words to capture, to convey, to transport what? An idea, a set of ideas, which the central idea is what? The science of understanding, that there is a process to you understanding, going from 0 to 100. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. You're getting good. You're getting what I'm saying. Now, if we are saying precept must be upon precept, how exactly do we even get to the precept? Because you don't, all that you see, all that you engage in life today, most times, 80% of them are words. These are already exposed ideas and concepts. So precepts, how do we get down to precepts? The first, let me say the one of the fastest ways, which is the way I recommend, right, that you do it, especially within academic context and things like that, because many times you don't have direct contact with the originator of the idea. So for example, if let's go back to our example of the bachelor or the architects now. If the construction of the house was started and you have some bricklayers arguing about the number of rooms or the setting of this and that, now what they would do is, it's as simple as the architect telling them, we've designed the house already, this is the building plan. So you're supposed to follow this plan, right? That's the idea already conceived. That's the concept there. The closest thing to a precept you can find in a concept. If I want to get the original precept, I don't want to, let's go and ask the bachelor himself. You now want to gain access to the source of the precept. But many times, often than not, we don't have that privilege to access the originators of the precepts or the ideas. So what we're doing is we're engaging with the ideas that they've exposed, and the true words, and the closest way to get to the precept, the best way in this context now to come close to the original ideas that they had is towards examine the choice of words. Really pay attention to the choice of words. In other words, you sit down. I'm learning something for the first time. I'm going to check why the choice of words. What are the words that are being used to explain this thing? What are the words being used to expose this idea to me? And then you want to be intentional about the choice of words, because the reason why those set of words were used is because those words have the ability to expose the concept or expose the precept that the originator of the idea had. I'll say that again. The reason why those words were used is because the originator of the idea knows, believes, and chose to use those words because they are the closest, or they are the exact containers that capture or that communicate the idea he had or he has in mind. So when I say I will slap you, I'm sorry for being violent, but if I say I will slap you and I say I will hit you, they are two different things. Similar, but not the same. I will hit you. It could be in any way, in any form. If I say I will slap you, the choice of words has already communicated the exact idea. You already know what I'm saying. So if I say something like, I want my chair to be beautiful, that's fine. I can make your chair beautiful. I say I want my chair to be yellow. There are different use of word communicating and being different ideas. The first statement wants the chair to be beautiful. Second statement wants the chair to be yellow. So now my own perspective or my own understanding of beautiful can vary. So now you see another reason why words, you need to be as intentional as possible with words. Okay, so we're saying now, by the time for you to get close to the original ideas, you examine the words. Don't over-assume. If you know the meaning of the words, it's fine, but don't assume, right? Still do a double check. I did that myself, right? I did that even myself. I did a double check. What does it mean? What was understand? I know what understanding means, but I have to do a double check. Understand. What's the meaning of the word understand? You understand? You get what I'm trying to say, right? So by the time you do this for a line of text, you are to go from one word to the next word, and that precept upon precept is saying that you should have a progressive idea of the original ideas being reviewed, captured through those words. That's precept upon precept. So once you understand the ideas being communicated through this choice of words and this arrangement of words, you now start going into line. So we have done with precept, we're now going to line upon line, because a combination of words, an arrangement of words, a sequence of words, a sentence, a line is either communicating an idea or communicating parts of an idea. Most times, unless it's a standalone sentence or a standalone line of text, it's most times going to be communicating part of an idea. So if you have a sentence in a paragraph, you know that sentence can communicate an idea, but it's also still part of like the overarching idea of that paragraph of text. Okay, so you've dealt with the progressive understanding of the words and the original ideas in a sentence. Now you are going from understanding the idea or capturing, you have an understanding of what that sentence is saying. Move to the next sentence, move to the next line. You do the same thing, precept upon precept. Do the same thing, move to the next line, and move to the next line, and move to the next line, move to the next line. By the time you do all this line upon line, you understand progressively. So you don't rush this thing. You don't rush understanding because you're trying to establish something in your mind. You don't rush it because you're trying to establish it. And the very first time you try it, or the first time you do this, it may seem or feel difficult, like, why am I stressing myself? But it's like a muscle. So I, for example, I almost subconsciously do this. Almost subconsciously. It's almost automatic because that's like, I don't know any other way to get the kind of results I want, right? So it's like a muscle. You develop it, you build it over time, and you don't get it until you start. All right. So it's not even here. It's not even because I want to have 5.0 or the 10 over 10 and all these things. Yes, understanding can help you do that and achieve that, but also know that you can actually achieve these things without understanding. And that was why I took time in the previous teaching on Do You Understand to really make you see what understanding is. And we've been building up on that. Even at the beginning of this teaching, I talked about understanding and how it improves. The beauty of knowledge is in understanding. So even if you want to pack knowledge in and pour it out, please still put in the work and strive for understanding, because that's what makes that knowledge that you have beautiful, and that's what you need to be able to extract value that you can transact in the marketplace for money and other resources. All right. So now we've done that. We've taken our time to read, to understand the words, to grasp the precepts. Now we're not taking in sentences, understanding the sentences, understanding the lines. What's the idea of what's this line communicating as an idea? What is this sentence saying? What's the sum total of all this? So I'm looking at 5 lines together. What exactly are they saying? Looking at a paragraph, what exactly is this paragraph saying? Looking at an entire outline, what exactly is this outline saying? So, for example, what exactly is this entire teaching, this particular teaching on? Communicating the idea that you can go from 0 to 100 in understanding, the science of understanding. Now, under precept, what am I communicating when I'm talking about precept? What's the idea? What's the central idea in precept or under precept? Is that every word, every idea, everything that exists, every word is not empty. Every word comes from a source called a precept. A precept, an original idea. So everything starts from an idea. When I'm talking about line, what am I saying? I'm saying that you need to go progressively, having an understanding of the original ideas progressively. So you see how even while in this teaching, I'm applying this thing and showing you how it's even working in this teaching. So when you're preparing, when you're reading, when you're listening in class, you would see it's almost the same pattern as well. So even when you're reading, you don't just read haphazardly, you follow that structure. You follow that structure and narrow it down till you get to the very core, the very precept, core of it. So what's the core of this particular teaching, this particular session? What's the core? The core is that understanding can be built, can be developed from 0 to 100, following a guide, a set of, a process in itself, in a sense rather. Okay, so by the time you've established this flow of thoughts, line after line, and you're moving, line after line, paragraph after paragraph, and like that, everything would eventually come together to communicate what a central idea, a central thought. And by that time, what you are seeing, you're not just seeing the house, you are seeing it from the block upwards. You see from the blocks to a wall, from a wall to a what would I call it? To a section of the house, from a section of the house to the entire building. You get, and at the end of the day, you started from what? The precept. So now we've settled that. Now we'll talk about here and there. What exactly does here and there? What are we implying? What are we trying to say? Here and there means that you are engaging multiple sources that capture or communicate the same idea. Multiple sources that capture or communicate the same idea. A little here, a little there. Now, when it says a little, it's not necessarily saying you read small, like read 2 paragraphs here, read 4 paragraphs. A little here, a little there, meaning that the same thing, okay, a little here, a little there, the same thing you did here, do here. The only difference is now another source. Okay, a little here, a little there. Now, having multiple sources capturing or communicating the very same idea. So for you to necessarily have a good comprehension, you already understand, you get the central idea and all that stuff. You have a grounded understanding or comprehension of what is actually being communicated of that idea. It is necessary for you to go beyond just that source and seek the perspective of other people on it. So for example, let's say for example, I'm studying for physics. I'm using a particular textbook studying the topic of force. After studying and going through this process, I want to get another textbook, get another material, and read again on force in that other material. What am I doing? I'm being exposed to the same idea communicated most likely in a different way, because different people communicate and convey ideas in different ways. That's why two different people can say the same thing. They are saying the same thing, but they're not saying the same thing the same way. They won't, because they are wired differently. Every human is wired differently. So you want to get perspective into multiple perspectives rather on a subject matter, on a particular idea, to solidify and to give you a broader and a deeper understanding of that same very idea. Okay, that same very idea. And the interesting thing is, different people explain, different people communicate at different levels. So you can have somebody communicating at big grammar, and you have another person communicating very simple English, very simple words. Okay. Now, speaking of simple words, do you remember when we read Isaiah 28 verse 10? We talked about the NLT version. And it says, it tells us everything over and over again, a line at a time, in very simple words. That's it. Over and over again. So multiple sources. The main essence is for you to get a wider range, a wider perspective of the very same idea. Alright, so that's exactly what I'm also doing when we bring up a scripture, a Bible verse, and we're checking it in multiple versions. So different versions are communicating at different levels of understanding, using different set of words to communicate the same idea. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you following me? So now that we understand, okay, I go from precept to line to here and there. Now, how much or how many perspectives is too many? Okay, since I need multiple perspectives, how many perspectives is too many? If I want to actually understand, well, I don't think I can give you a direct, a fixed answer because it's dependent on context. So someone could be studying for astronomy or a philosophy exam or a calculus paper or a research work, right? So I can't exactly give you a fixed figure. I can't definitely say this is it because it's dependent on context. But I would recommend 2 to 3 sources. 2 to 3 sources. All right, 2 to 3 sources, and I have very, very solid reasons for that. So I'm going to bring forth my strong reasons. All right, so we're going to check a couple of things. So we had a very powerful teacher back in the day, teacher of the law, man, a preacher in fact, the Apostle Paul, and he made a very powerful statement while he was writing a letter to one of the churches. Right, so that's 2 Corinthians 13 verse 1. We're going to just check that. I will check that in NIV, in the New International Version, 2 Corinthians 13 verse 1. Yeah. So here's it. Let's read that. It says, "This will be my third visit to you." Do you hear that? Third visit to you. Now, every matter must be, note the word, established by the testimony of what? 2 or 3 witnesses. Every matter must be established by the testimony, the perspective of 2 or more witnesses, 2 or more sources. Are you seeing that there? Let's take a look at another one. All right, let's take a look at so the wisest king, Solomon, also made a statement as to this regard. Okay, so let's check what Solomon said in Ecclesiastes 4. So Ecclesiastes 4 verse 12. Okay. And okay, yeah, we're checking this out as well in the NIV version. Alright. So let's read this. It says, "Though one may be overpowered." Okay. I'm going to bring this to our context. Although one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of what? 3 strands is not quickly broken. Does that sound familiar? With every matter must be established. A cord of 3 strands, okay, a combination of 3 sources is not quickly broken. And understanding a perspective from 3 sources is not quickly broken. 2 can defend themselves, fine. 2 is fine. 2 sources is good. 1 may be overpowered. So if you just stick to one source, or you just stick to one textbook, stick to one website, stick to one search result, stick to one AI response. Yes, I'm going to say that. Yes. Yeah, ChatGPT, Meta, AI. I mean, you have quite a number of them out there. If you stick to just one response and you use that to define your perspective, it will be overpowered. It's not sufficient enough. It's not solid enough. Okay, so let's take a look at one more of that, one more perspective. These were the words of Jesus himself in the book of Matthew. So this was Matthew documenting the life and the gospel of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus to be precise. And let's check Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18. And then we check this out in the Message translation. So verse 18 to 19. Okay, look at this. So verse 18 says, "When 2 of you get together on anything at all on earth and make a prayer of it, my Father in heaven goes into action." Note that. When 2 of you. Okay, 2 sources. Now look at the next verse. Verse 19 says, "And when 2 or 3 of you are together because of me, you can be what? Sure." meaning established. It is established. I will be there. You can be sure. I will be there when what? 2 or 3. Okay, so I recommend 2 or 3 sources anytime, any day. 2 or 3 perspectives to give you like a better view. You can go beyond, but recommended 2 to 3. Right? So that's the thing. It's like you said, it's a science. There's a systemic way to go about it. This was the same strategy that was deployed to empower us to be literate. I mean, if you just think about it, think about how we journeyed in the early days of childhood in school. You would see this same strategy, this same process right there before you. All right, so building up understanding on any subject matter at all requires that you would start from the precepts. Do your very best to get as close to the original idea, as close to the precepts. All right, and then from understanding of the precepts, you begin to comprehend the precepts. By how did we say we can get close to the precepts? By the words, understanding the words. And from the words, you do what? You progress into lines and sentences. And as you go that, you continue on that flow of thoughts, noting the ideas or the different parts of a central idea, cover the body of text, be it a paragraph, be it a topic, and then you engage multiple sources on the same idea for what? More, for a wider, a broader, a deeper perspective on that idea, on that subject, topic, or matter. All right, that's the science. That's how you get to understand. That's how you hit it. That's how you hit it. So it's not magic. It's a process. You have to start by starting. You don't get it. You may not get it on platter of gold the first time, but it's a process. It may take time. It should take some time, right? But as you regularly engage and practice, it gets easier and better. You get faster at it, you get more comfortable with it, and you just fall in love with it, honestly. Because why? The beauty of knowledge is in understanding. The value of knowledge is in wisdom, that is the application. All right?
Amazing! You listened till the end. Now tell me, what was your aha moment while you listened? Share it in the comment section and let others learn from your experience. Also, share today's episode with someone and stay connected with us for more faith-filled guidance on school, life, and purpose.